Rob, you know, one of the movies that I have been ludicrously excited about seeing has been Suicide Squad. Mostly because it's James Gunn. I'm a big fan of James Gunn's films. I like his on-screen sensibilities. He's got a wackiness that has this ability to layer real human emotion and humanity into the wackiness. Slither is a terrific example of that. Obviously, what he did with the movie of a bunch of misfit characters with Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy turned out to be mind-boggling successful. And now he brings it over here. But then the trailer started coming out. They look good. And then the early reactions started coming out. And the early reactions sounded great. Well, yesterday, after the John Campea show, I got a call. Said, hey, you know what? There's actually, we're doing a screening tonight in LA. If you want to come down to LA, come see it. So at kind of a last minute thing, I'm like, hell yes. Now I normally, Rob, you know, I usually don't go anymore. Ever since I moved out of LA, I usually just can't be bothered to go to these press screenings anymore. But for a James Gunn film and Suicide Squad, and hearing some people saying like it could be a top 3 or top 5 greatest comic book movie of all time, you know, I had to hop on the horse and get down there and go watch it. And by the way, I just want to throw in here, our friends Insomniac and Iconic Reactions both send in super chat badges in the live chat. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. So I hopped on my horse yesterday and ran on down to go see Suicide Squad. So first of all, I should point out that going in to see Suicide Squad, by the way, here's a little picture of me outside getting ready to go in. Look at the smile on my face. Look how happy I'm all excited getting ready to go in to see Suicide Squad. That was last night. So the first thing I should point out is that I got into the theater. It was supposed to start at 6 and 6:20 rolls around. They still hadn't started the movie. And a guy comes into the theater and says, they're having some technical problems. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no, please don't tell me I drove an hour and 20 minutes to get over all the way over here onto the west side of LA to come see this and it can't play. But around 6:30, they finally got it playing. Okay. This is what I'll say. Do I think Suicide Squad is a top 5 or top 3 greatest comic book film of all time? I'll say no. Do I think it is the greatest DCEU movie yet, as many people are suggesting that it is? I would still personally give that crown to Man of Steel. Because, I mean, you guys know Man of Steel you guys know how much I love Man of Steel. But I will also tell you this. Oh my God, Rob, this movie's entertaining. Oh my God, this movie's entertaining. It is every bit as ludicrous and bonkers and nutty and crazy and irreverent and like random, but also as some of the other critics have said prior to this, it's got a warmth to it. There is absolutely moments of tenderness. And you know, somebody asked me last night, what would you say the theme of the movie is? What's the theme of the movie? And I thought about it for a second, and I haven't heard anybody else say this. So I'll describe what I think the theme of the movie is this. Discovering the humanity you have inside you. Regardless of, even if it's only the tiniest scrap of humanity that you have left. And if I had to describe what I thought the theme of Suicide Squad is that, and I think that holds true as you go across most of the characters, is discovering the whatever sliver or bit of humanity is still in you. And, you know, I mean, there's something I want to say, but I don't know if I can say it. Let me look something up here. Squad. I don't know if I can say it, but just let me look up something here quickly to see if I'm able to say something that I want to say or not. Let's see. Okay. What I did not know, Rob, he is listed on the IMDb, so I should have known this because he is listed on IMDb, so this is no spoiler because he's listed there. I didn't know Taika Waititi was in this movie. I totally didn't realize Taika Waititi was in this movie. So, and listen, some of the guys that just really stood out to me, Number one, let me just say this. I was very pleasantly surprised by John Cena. I was very pleasantly surprised by John Cena in this movie. Now, some of the jokes that he cracks in the trailers, they come across a little stiff, like they're funny lines, but they're a little stiff and blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you what, as they got into some of the more dramatic parts, John Cena, look, I'm still not willing to say I think he can be a leading man like he's going to be in the Peacemaker show on HBO. I still don't know if he's ready to be a leading man. So far, he has not been able to be a leading man. But I'll tell you what, when it got to the heavier and some of the dramatic parts of Suicide Squad with John Cena, I got to say, I was quite impressed. He has grown a lot. He has gotten better. And I got to say, man, I was pretty impressed. So look, I'm not saying he's going to win any Academy Awards. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just going to say he has come a long way since, what was that movie he did, Trainwreck? Since he did Trainwreck like 6 years ago or whatever. He's come a long way. So I got to give him some props for that. Also, Polka Dot Man, Rob. Polka Dot Man. We heard some people saying Polka Dot Man was a pleasant surprise. Yes, Polka Dot Man is a pleasant surprise. King Shark. I loved every second that King Shark was on screen. I loved every second. The action is bonkers. It's totally gory. It's got some great humor. Rob, there is a moment in this film that, I often talk about the top 10. I have a personal top 10 list of the funniest single moments in a movie. Not the top 10 funniest movies, but a top 10 funniest single moments. To me, the number one will always be Spaceballs. Now, Lone Star, you'll see that evil will always triumph because good is dumb. That will always be my number one. But I think there is a moment in Suicide Squad that makes that list. That I both laughed incredibly hard out loud and I wanted to crawl under my chair and go, no, 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 all at the same time. It's just, Rob, I often say that movies are experiential events. And Suicide Squad is an experience. Again, I don't want to oversell it. Do I think this is a top 3 greatest comic book film of all time? Like one of my friends was telling me they thought it was. No, I don't think it's a top 3 of all time. But this is a big, big win. You owe it to yourself to see this movie. And with the action and violence in it, you absolutely owe it to yourself to see it on the biggest screen possible. And now I didn't get a chance to see it on a Prime or an IMAX screen, but if you can see it in a Dolby Prime or in an IMAX screen, go watch it on one of those. If that's not available to you, just see it on the biggest screen that you can. I had an absolute blast. What James Gunn has done it again. I cannot wait to see what he does next. I guess next up for him is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But anyway, Rob, I know you've been getting hyped for this film. Where are your expectations right now? And do you have any like non-spoiler questions for me about the movie at this point?
Well, I mean, this movie just looks monumentally entertaining. And again, using Slither, using Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, because I like 2. I seemingly like 2 a lot more than most people. I'm a huge fan of what James Gunn brings to the sensibilities of these things. And I think that the fact that he's taken these obscure DC characters and combined them with a couple of heavy hitters from the original Suicide Squad and the John Ostrander comic, which he talks about liking a great deal, my anticipation of this movie is quite high. Like, I can't wait to see it. And I've told you, the fact that anybody made a movie with Starro in it, we are all winning. But in terms of plot, if I could ask a question,
sure.
I guess, James Gunn has said that DC said you can do whatever you want to any of these characters. Was it at all surprising what some of the fates of these characters wound up being?
Yep. I really want to make sure I don't give, but dude, half of this movie, my jaw was in my lap. Like, I can't believe they just did this.
All I need to know.
And then something else happens later on. I can't believe they just did that. And then when I'm already sitting there thinking, this is one of the most ludicrous and bonkers, certainly comic book movies I've ever seen. And then Starro pops up.
Right.
I mean, it's even before Starro pops up that you're thinking like, this is completely bonkers and wild and crazy. Oh no, yeah, we haven't even gotten to the giant starfish yet. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that's such a deep cut. I mean, it goes all the way back to the first couple of what I think Justice League 4, Starro the Conqueror. I just, only James Gunn, I think, it showed that not only because he loves this stuff, he did his research. There are very few filmmakers in the world. Maybe he's the only one who would have, or was even capable of delivering what this movie seems to have successfully delivered. I don't know. I don't think any other filmmaker would have done what he's done here.
And by the way, Nathan Fillion, great. Javelin, great. I mean, as you go through Ratcatcher, great. Harley Quinn, great. Michael Rooker, great. I mean, and Weasel, by the way, Weasel. I mean, every moment Weasel's on screen, I'm grinning ear to ear. And by the way, before I forget this, I will let you guys know that, yes, there's a post-credit scene.
Ooh.
But don't get up and leave after the post-credit scene. Stay until the very, very end of the credits because there is a second post-credit scene. And you're going to want to see both. All right, you're going to want to see both. So yes, there is a early post-credit scene, what we call a mid-credit post scene, but then there is one at the very, very end. So make sure you guys stick around for that as well. Anyway, a phenomenally entertaining movie, guys. I had a great time with it. Listen, the violence and the bonkersness and the craziness of it, that also means it's not going to be for everybody. Right. So I'm not sitting here telling you everybody on the planet's going to love this. The very nature of what makes it great for me is going to be maybe something that makes it not everybody's cup of tea. So keep that in mind. But I had a marvelous time watching this movie, and I cannot wait to go back into a theater and watch it again. Question is for you guys. Where's your expectations like right now for Suicide Squad? I had a great time. I hope you guys will too. Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.